For TraderInsight.com, I'm Adrian Manns. It's Tuesday, January 11th, 2022. Let's take a look at the opportunities this morning. Our old favorite Apple is back and better than ever. This one has been trading very predictably nice geometric moves. In the pre-market this morning, we had a move lower that indicated that an inflection at 171.95 had a pretty good probability of making up to 172.35 and then 173.12. Those ranges, of course, are established by what happens in the pre-market, where the support and resistance is, and you can clearly see here that these pockets represent the most likely travel range for the stock. The only thing I wasn't crazy about this morning was that the first target on this at 172.35 roughly corresponded to yesterday's central pivot. So there was a big value line right through yesterday's trading data that was at today's first target, and that was going to indicate that once price got there, we were going to get a pretty significant inflection. That is what happened. And the thing that I didn't like about it was it was going to get us out for about a 40-cent profit, but this first stop loss had to be all the way down at 171.29. And that's because this infield fly move on yesterday's chart really led to a pretty big waterfall sell-off. And if it was going to come down below this level, we could expect to see price move back down into here. There was support right at that level, however, so I didn't want to force the trade. And as you know, I'm a big proponent of saying wherever the natural support and resistance is, that's where the stop has to be. You want it to have to break support in order to get stopped out of the trade, even if that means you're upside down on your ratio for that initial trade. Now, the hope, of course, was that a 171.95 entry would get us to 172.35 and then blast off and get us up into 173.12. That's not what happened, but we did get more opportunities. The stock did get us a profit objective from 171.95 up to 172.35. Then it came down all the way to the central pivot, and today's central pivot was at 170.95. That gave us an entry opportunity with a first target up at 171.95, and this time the second target 172.35. It was logical to let it go to 72.35 again because that was yesterday's central pivot. That was yesterday's value line. When it made the move again, we had a pivot inflection back up to 172.35. These two moves were the lion's share of what we did with this over the course of the session today. Did not catch the 72.35 move that got us up to 3.12 and then up to 3.73. But if you were frosty and watching as the trade developed, you had the opportunity to cash in on a move from the central pivot all the way up to R2. So Apple's back. It's trading very nicely again. I would say that this is the preferred trade in my book as far as Apple, Tesla, Baba, Netflix, Nvidia, all the usual players go. This one is easier to time, easier to trade, doesn't have the volatile swings, and when you get a directional move like this, it can really add to the bottom line. Albertsons Companies, ticker symbol ACI, earnings sent this one tumbling this morning. And the first look that we had at it as a fastball expansion of range and volume setup was around 10 a.m. Eastern time. So once the stock had made this move lower, we saw pretty clear support and resistance right around here at $29.57. That is where I told you guys this morning in the morning strategy session that we would look for an entry with a target down at $28.97. So the spot 57, spot 97 move happened here. And then we had another opportunity for that same trade when price broke up above here. Missed out on this infield fly, sadly. Wasn't watching this. It was lunchtime in New York. When it came back down through, though, the alert set and got us ready for a $29.57 entry, and that wound up at the $28.97 target. So the logic with these is always that if we get the expansion of range and volume move intraday, we are very likely to see a repeat performance of a previous range. And that's what we see happening here from 29.57 down to 28.97. The stop on this would have been right here above these highs. If we got above there, then the anticipation would be that we're going to make a move up into this 30.03 pivot. In a sympathetic move to what was going on with Albertsons, Kroger popped up on the radar almost immediately. This one put in an expansion bar, and you can see here that on this first leg to the downside, our volume weighted average price was all the way up here. And that would indicate that a good portion of the sell-off was up in the higher part of the range, and that's in fact supported by your volume by price data over here. But once we got down into 47.93, the picture changed a little bit. Once Kroger made the initial move, we can see that the VWAP is going to drift down substantially. And it gives us a nice place to put a stop loss. So right above those highs that correspond with this volume-weighted average price of this bigger move to the downside, we see that we can get a 47.93 entry and a very, very tight stop and have a 47.51 target at this pivot line. So first time through, it hits it. Obviously, we weren't part of that. That's where we were looking for this to set up. Then we had a second attempt at 47.93. That reversed. Stock sort of drifted lower, drifted higher. We thought we were going to probably wind up back at the entry price, maybe a break-even stop on this, but then it came down. Got within a penny or so of that pivot line. That's close enough for government work on any day of the week. And then came back up, gave us another entry opportunity. Never got up to that stop. Tagged the entry line a couple times at 47.93 and back down to that 47.51 target. So I gave you these two in the strategy session this morning. I hope that helped with sort of focusing on the setups. You should be able to find these yourself relatively easily. It's a matter of scanning for them and really filtering through the scan. One way or another, these made for nice trading opportunities on Tuesday. So I'm going to stop it there. We had other opportunities, of course, but I want you guys to chew on these for a little bit and figure out what these strategies looked like. We also had some good XRV trading, and of course the opening gaps were delightful. But I think this is plenty to try to integrate into your thinking for Tuesday. So if you have any questions, shoot me an email, adrian@traderinsight.com. I hope you had a great trading day today and an even better one on deck for tomorrow. It's the best trader education anywhere, only from traderinsight.com.